I'm just kind of like formulating those type of things because everyone's asking him, so what does it finally feel like to be a Chicago Bear? It's like, okay, yes, I kind of asked a version of that question, but I also wanted to ask him something about Aaron Rodgers because that is actually Caleb's idol.
Welcome to Wrestlemania. No, welcome to another episode. Hear me, beer me. We've got a good one for you guys today. The back half, you're gonna see, or you're gonna listen, or you're gonna watch an interview with Nick Moreano. Thank you again, man, for coming on. It was great chopping it up with you. We got to talk about the Bears, about the NFL draft. We just chopped it up about just the landscape of things in general. Oh, you know why it sounds weird? You know why? Because his mic is still on. Right? Yeah. Got to chop it up about just sports in general. And yeah, man, that'll be on the back half of this episode. I'm going to go through a real quick Beer Me breakdown as we do in these shows on this show. Starting, of course, with the B, which is Beer of the Week. Today we're going with a simple Miller Lite. It's actually all that I had, so it's kind of like a bullpen game today. We don't have the starters out, you know what I mean? We got to go deep into the bullpen. It's a Monday night. Why not? Why not? Let's rest our starters and let them sit this one out. So Beer of the Week, Miller Lite. Cheers, boys. How you guys feeling about my LWO shirt? It's actually like a cutoff. I cut it off to look like Rey Mysterio one year during Halloween. And now I kind of like can't really wear it unless I'm going to like the beach or some bullshit. But I was actually going to put on the mask for this episode. The Rey Mysterio mask or like the 316 vest or something. But I was like, you know what? Let's just go with a good old classic LWO shirt. Why not? But yeah, man, Beer of the Week again. Just a crisp Miller Lite. I'm just waiting, man. I'm just waiting to really bring something crazy out for one of these episodes. But I gotta stop doing these during the week. For some reason though, like Sundays, I'm like, I'm always do it Sunday. But then Sunday rolls around. And, like, I don't want to do anything. I just kind of want to chill, kind of relax. Just, like, Sunday scaries start to hit. So, yeah, one of these days, though. It'll be bright. It'll be early. It'll be Sunday. And it'll be a great time. Moving on to the E section. The E section of this episode, which I'm going to make quick. I kind of was going to, like, really dive deep into stuff. But, like, just kind of make it a little brief. Is everyday sports, and we're gonna start with a WrestleMania recap. So I'm just gonna go off the top of my head real quick. I didn't make any notes. I didn't do any research. I'm just gonna, fly by the seat of my pants here, and talk about night one. Night one, there was really nothing crazy to discuss. Like nothing at all. The main event was good. That was it. The main event was good, but it kind of left us like, okay, well, even if this wasn't great. And you know what? I'm going to take a sip real quick. Even if night one wasn't great, we're like, we still got night two. The main event was good. The twist at the end was good. We had Rollins, obviously, paired up with Heyman. And, they kind of backstabbed Roman and CM Punk. So it was good. It was a good energy flowing into night two. The first 4 matches of night 2, insane. They completely blew night 1 out of the water. Dom becoming champion, I enjoyed that very much. Everything was going good. The main event, though, I will say, kind of like I saw somewhere somebody said it felt like there were 15 minutes left still when it ended. You ever watch a movie and like you don't get all the answers, and you're like, dude, I swear there's like 15 minutes left, and like it's over, the credits are coming out. Like that's kind of how WrestleMania felt. Like there was more to be told, and I mean I know they're doing that purposely, vindictively to set up for what's to come or whatever. And just I don't know though. I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't know how they're gonna play off of this. But I think that they kind of just left it like just I don't know. I hated the way Cody's run ended. Obviously, I think he's gonna get the title back at some point. Like I think he has to. I think they're setting up Cena to fight Randy Orton in his hometown in St. Louis at Backlash on May 10th. I think that's what they're doing. They're gonna set him up because it would be great, right? A title fight, Randy, Cena, like an OG kind of feeling thing. I think that's what they're kind of leaning towards. I think Cena will retain. I think then he's gonna like, I don't know, maybe he'll fight like The Rock or something, or Roman, or I don't know, like with the title, and then Cody will win it back like at SummerSlam or something. And then I think after Cena loses the title, I think he's gonna try to turn back into a babyface, and I think he's gonna bring back like the old school Cena with the buzz cut and like the 54 jersey and all that. I don't know. That's just me speculating. I really do hope he does that. I don't know that he will. I don't know how they're gonna like really let this play out. But if my predictions become true, I'm the fucking man. So yeah, that's kind of my WrestleMania recap. It was good. I think not every year can be like last year. Last year was just like top three probably WrestleManias ever, if not top one, if not top two. But yeah, dude, I think that it just felt like there was more to be told, and like I just kept thinking someone else was gonna come out. Like, where was The Rock? Where the fuck was The Rock? Yeah, where the fuck was The Rock? Anyways, NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs have started, and only one game was not a blowout. Only one game was within 10 points or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think this is the problem with the NBA. I think just like, I don't know. There's not enough down the stretch. There was one game that went to OT, and that was it. But like, I think, yeah, like the playoffs will get better as we go, but I think that's just the general consensus is that that's a problem. Like just the way that, blowouts are occurring, and I don't know, like there's not enough. I don't know, but I will say for some reason I'm a little more invested. Like they've done a good job at highlighting their superstars, like Ant, and I mean obviously they're always riding the coattails of LeBron and Jokic and whatever. But I feel like they've really been able to elevate SGA and Ant and all these guys. So I appreciate that, at least from an NBA perspective. So yeah, playoffs will be exciting. Soccer and golf is the next bullet point on this list, and soccer, pretty much, we're going into the Mexican Liguilla, aka the playoffs, aka when you've got like 8, 10 teams left now, they do the little playing thing that the NBA does. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you guys know who I'm rooting for. I don't gotta say it, and they better fucking come through this time. It's crazy. They were supposed to not have a great team, and they ended up being pretty good. I mean, they had a great team. They were supposed to fall apart because they lost their coach at the beginning of the season, but the boys have rallied, and I appreciate that they've rallied, and now they have the CONCACAF Cup Championship semifinals, and they're top four in the Liguilla. So we're in a good spot right now. The wheels have not fallen off. Don't let them fall off, Cruz Azul. Let's fucking do it. Golf. Just, I feel like the Masters was so long ago, but Rory won that. Congrats to him. I haven't dropped an episode since then. So yeah, congrats to him. And the RBC Heritage this last weekend was crazy too. JT won that. He broke the course record and then ended up winning in a playoff, birdied the first hole of the playoff, and he hadn't won in like 2 years or something like that. So congrats to him. I think he's like a sleeper, like in all these tournaments. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna take him to finish like top 5, top 10, and the rest of them. And he's probably not gonna win for another 2 years, and I'll lose my money. But who cares? My money is gonna be on JT, on Patrick Reed, and it's always on Bryson. But he doesn't play a lot of these. He only really plays the majors. So yeah, that's kind of my quick golf and soccer recap. UCL championships. I lied. UCL championship. Go Barca. Glad Real Madrid's out. Took care of the bad guy. Let's take out the bad guy in the Mexican league as well, and put them to sleep and let those guys rest. Yeah, that's my recap. Entertainment. Black Mirror. New season. Let me take a gulp real quick. Is anyone watching Black Mirror? Is it just, I feel like not a single person I've seen post Black Mirror, bring up Black Mirror, say anything about Black Mirror, but I've been a Black Mirror watcher since like not the first season. I think I watched when there were 2 seasons out, and the first episode was egregious and disgusting, and I was locked in. So I kept watching, and now we're on season 7 of this thing, and it's just like this abstract, like, it's not like a show that is like continuous. Every episode is different, so you can watch them out of order. But if you watch Black Mirror, I mean, I've only watched 2 episodes of this season so far, and the first one was super sad, made me depressed. Black Mirror is one of those shows where you watch it and you still think about it like days later. You're like, how fucked up was that? And as you're watching, you're starting to, like, obviously, like, there's always a twist. There's always something dark, something weird, like something that you're not gonna like about the show. And you're just like waiting for like the pin to drop. Is that what they say? You're just waiting for like the bad part to happen. And it's really sad that you're watching, and you know something bad's coming, but you're watching anyways, and you're just ready to get hurt. It's like, just how hurt am I gonna be, and how quickly is it gonna hurt? Like, I know this isn't a good promo for Black Mirror. Like, anyone probably just listening to what I'm saying is gonna be like, well, why would I watch a show like that? Just watch it. Give it a chance. It's something weird, something different. I like weird, different shows with weird, different concepts. I don't know why. Like, even movies, like, I think sci-fi is my favorite genre of movies. So if you give me like an Interstellar, like an Inception, or like Shutter Island, or something just weird, abstract, I'm always locked in. Like something that's like teetering on like it is in reality, but also like if it happened, I would believe it. Like, like, I don't know. I'm a real big fan of things like that. So that'll wrap it up for entertainment, dude. And I'm gonna go to reporting locally real quick. I want to talk about the Waukegan History Museum, dude. Like, this is pretty cool for the town, man. This is cool. They're having a museum about our history. Like, ribbon cutting ceremony is gonna be on Thursday, May 1st. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, the building looks cool. Like, just like something about Waukegan opening like a historical, like, I don't know what's gonna be there. I don't know. It's different, but dude, you know what? Like, let's make this city be the actual city of progress, man. Like, I don't know, just stuff like that is good. Like, I know we all fry this all the time. Stop opening car washes. Let's open more museums. Let's, like, dude, like, just stuff like that. That's like, I don't know, like artsy, and just like stuff like that. It really makes me excited because I feel like that's a good sign for the city. And yeah, that's kind of pretty much it. All that I've got for reporting locally, and for the Beer Me Breakdown. Again, I chopped it up with Nick. We touched on the Bears. We had a really good time. Just chopping it up, catching up. It had been like over a year since he last came on, which for some reason I thought was way less. I thought it had been like 6 months, but it turns out it was way more. So yeah, long overdue there. And just like, man, just continue to ride along the Hear Me Beer Me train. Just continue to like and subscribe and interact with the video. And last time, You know what? I'm kind of mad because I think I took too long to say this, but last time I like said like, hey, comment like W video on the comments, and people did it, and that was awesome. That was awesome. So I want to think of something to comment on this video, but I can't really think of what to say to comment other than like um be beer me. I don't fucking know, dude. What should I have everybody? What should I have everybody write in the comments, dude? LWO, Latino World Order. Just write LWO. 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 Write it in the comments. Oh, whew, that would have been bad. Comment LWO. Continue supporting the pod. Got a lot of great things coming. A lot of great things planned. I know it's been kind of slow lately. Just kind of been, in a little like hear me, beer me slump. But we're going to pick back up, man. We're going to pick back up. I promise you that we are going to pick back up. I'm already thinking of how to like, kind of manage like the one episode a week. Cause dude, like I feel like that's crucial. Like I feel like we need one episode a week. Right now, I've been doing every 2 weeks, and honestly, dude, today I opened up my laptop and like I like connected the mics and like, I was like setting up like the recordings. Like, dude, I was just ecstatic, and I missed it. I missed it. It felt like too long. It was too long, and we're gonna figure something out. But yeah. Continue to ride the Hear Me Beer Me train. Great interview coming forth now. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, LWO. See you guys. All right, welcome to the interview portion of the episode. Today we're joined by a familiar face. We have a recurring guest, so you'll know who he is because you've seen him on here. I'm sure you've seen him on his own platform. And he's here to talk some Bears football. So what's going on, Nick?
I'm glad to be back since the last time. The studio's kind of changed a little bit, but I'm glad to be back, man.
Yeah, I know. He was walking in and we're like, dude, like the last time he came in, we had like couches and it was like a little bit different. I think we had one camera, we said. So it's nice to have you back on, dude. Speaking of the last time you were on, which was what? Was that like September?
It might have been like September, somewhere around there. I think we were talking about like that upcoming Chargers game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because I remember you made a prediction, right, about the game or something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, and I think Tyson Bagent ended up playing that game or something like that. I don't even remember, but
yeah,
it was a while though.
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure. So, yeah, dang, it has been, yeah.
So that wasn't even this past season.
Yeah, that was last
season.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
How about that? I know. It's long overdue, no?
Long overdue, but
Man,
we're back.
I'm glad you're back though, dude. It's like cool having you on, and especially with like the Bears topics, which you're obviously familiar with. And what better time than before the draft? I was just telling you, not being a guy that follows the Bears from February to second week of February until September. Like I'll only go during the season. Like by the time it's March, April, I start to forget what happened the last season? Like, were we good? Like, not that deep. But so it's good to have you on. And I was doing kind of research today. Like, okay, I knew about Genty. Everyone knows about Genty.
Everyone knows about Ashton Genty, yep.
Right. So I wanted to dig in a little deeper, and I'm gonna cheat because I'm not Nick. I don't really know what I'm doing here. But so let's just dive right in. The draft is on Thursday. Okay, it's gonna be awesome.
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, yep. Are you gonna be up there or no?
So I was debating it, and I thought I was gonna be up there. But the only thing is, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know who the Bears are actually gonna draft yet, and the draft only has so many players that are actually going to be there. So if the Bears happen to draft somebody that's actually not at the draft, it kind of defeats the purpose of me being there. I was in Detroit last year when the Bears drafted Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, and I got to interview both of them because they were both at the draft. We just have no idea who the Bears are going to draft or if that guy's going to even be there in Green Bay. So I've just decided I'll just be at Hallis Hall and I'll get to talk to the draft pick through Zoom, which is fine, but yeah, it was just too much up in the air, and this draft has been so... You just have no idea. because there's not that many what they call blue chip prospects, the top guys. So once it gets past probably the 5th pick, I mean, it's a free for all for who's going to go and who's going to be selected where.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean I was like kind of listening to some people like talk about the draft and what's gonna happen, and I want your take on it. Why do you think, or is it we're biased, right? We're Bears fans, so historically we're always like top 3 picks or top 5 picks, and this year we got better guys. We missed the playoffs, but we're still we're the 10th pick, So we don't have one of those top picks. So why is it you think that this year's draft it's not like generating as much buzz? Is it the players coming in? Is it, like I said, because we're here, like, Chicagoland area, so we just aren't hearing it as much because, like you said, we don't know who we're drafting. We're kind of relying on who they draft to see the way that, we take on the board or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think just overall, like the whole entire class, all the players that have elected to come out this year, there just wasn't as many of those, man, you can't miss this type of talent. Ashton Genty, like we just talked about, the running back out of Boise State, he's one of them, but one of probably 6 of like those top guys that any team would probably want to draft. And then I think it just also factors into maybe like last year's class was, one of the better ones for like a quarterback perspective.
That's true.
This year, the quarterback class is not seen as strong at all. Like Caleb Williams would still be the first overall pick in this draft class, and so would probably Jaden Daniels. They would most of the guys last year would be picked over the players in this year's class.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bunch of different factors, but being at number 10, and when you're not number 1 overall like the Bears were last year, there's just so much attention going in, and there's automatically more attention when it is a quarterback that the Bears are most likely going to get, which they did in Caleb Williams. Here, it's like it could be the quote-unquote non-sexy pick. Maybe they go to offensive tackle. It's not highly regarded to take a running back at top 10 in the first round. Like, that's not a pick that, when you look at most teams, they're probably not going to do that. So, like, there's speculation there. So, it's probably because it's a factor of all those things I just mentioned. But if the Bears were number 1 overall, again, they didn't have a quarterback, it would be definitely a different conversation we'd be having.
Got it. Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. And I feel like other years, right? Like you kind of have like but what ifs, right? But the top 3 are kind of locked in. They're kind of like, you can kind of flip flop them a little bit here and there. But so the research I did, right?
Let's go.
Cam Ward, basically,
Yep.
he's going to Tennessee. Like he's a tight end. Like that's done with.
Seems like a lock right there.
Yeah, Travis Hunter is gonna go to Cleveland most likely, or do you think that they do something crazy?
Either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
Got it.
So it's like those two. It's like those 3 are probably going to be the first 3 picks, as they should be. Those are the 3 of the 6 blue chip prospects. But
correct.
If that goes, it goes Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Like those are when we're kind of projecting the draft. That's exactly how it could go. It should go. But if like Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter get switched, that wouldn't be too big of a like.
Right. Where it's like a shock or anything, And a lot of times you talk about, they're gonna draft up because they want that sexy pick, the quarterback. But this year it's kind of like why are we drafting? I mean, the only scenario is like back at 20, right? Where you're talking about the Steelers or like somebody like that trying to jump up to get Shadir. Like that's kind of about it, right?
And that's where I think the draft gets really interesting with Sanders and where he ends up going. Do the Giants maybe end up taking him there in the top 5 and make him their next franchise quarterback? But there are teams in that back half where you look at, let's say, number 20, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just don't have, that quarterback of the future. And, Pittsburgh's always been in this situation where they get into the playoffs, one and done.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a quarterback. They never have a quarterback.
Right.
Since Ben Roethlisberger. So it's like, could that be the team or that player be the incentive to move up? But again, we were just talking like it's not the strongest class. So if you're doing that for him, you're giving up a lot of draft capital, and maybe this is just not the year to go and select that franchise QB and maybe wait for next year's class.
Yeah, and just take Aaron Rodgers, I guess, at that point.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting too, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he's just out there kind of waiting. And I mean, at this point in time, like, this is a bad situation too. Like, if he hasn't decided on what team or the team hasn't decided on him, you're going into the draft. And if you select a quarterback, you could have this mentorship. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is even really suited to do that at this point in his career, but you would have liked, if you were the team that still needed a quarterback like Pittsburgh, to have made that decision already on Rodgers, and then you go into the draft having clarity. Like, okay, we have Rodgers, maybe we can go a different direction at 20, or we could still draft a young quarterback, but no decision's been made at this point.
Yeah. That's what I guess that's the only point of interest in the draft, but that's not even in the top 10. That's like going middle of the first round or whatever, late first round.
Yep.
So that's kind of the only point of interest. I mean, not the only, but I guess the main point of interest. So I don't really want to go through the other 6, 7 teams in the top 10 because it's like, who cares about New England, Jacksonville, the Raiders, whatever. So this is my question to you with the Bears. All right. So I kind of wrote down all the blue chippers as you would say, right? And just I want to ask you, like, do you think that they would go for one of these guys, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of put them by position. So QB, obviously, they're not going Shadir, they're not going Jackson Dart because they don't need them, right? Do you think the Bears would do something crazy and draft a receiver or a tight end with that 10th pick, aka McMillan or Tyler Warren?
So I don't think it's McMillan, but
You think
Tyler
they'd go
Warren is definitely on the table for the Bears at 10. When you look at just what he did at Penn State, his one season last year was phenomenal. I mean, he literally was even throwing passes at one point. That's how creative Penn State got with that offense. But then you projected, like, okay, will he realistically be doing that in the NFL? Well, now he has Ben Johnson as his head coach, and he did creative things the entire time. He was the offensive coordinator with the Detroit Lions. And seeing what he got out of their tight end in Detroit, Sam Laporta, who was a second-round draft pick, imagine what he could do with another top 10 pick. You also have Cole Kmet, who's one of the better tight ends in the league. It just creates a lot of options. And I think why that's a possibility, if you're making that top 10 pick, it ultimately helps Caleb Williams. Like, that's how I think you got to be factoring into, like, whatever pick is made there. Even if it's an offensive tackle, it's like, well, how does this player help me right now? Well, it helps your second-year quarterback. Right. But you need to see him progress in year 2.
You need that blocking.
So with Tyler Warren, definitely on the table. I know I did one of these mock drafts, and he was one of them. And it gets, I think, from Bears fans, it's like, I can see why you went there, but you selected a tight end, not your luxury. It's a kind of a luxury pick. Usually you make a selection at a tight end, a running back, when you have everything else in place. The Bears have done a better job of building up the roster.
Yeah, and the free agency, definitely.
Free agency, building up the interior O-line, but it still would be a luxury pick, but I can see it playing out where they... Tyler Warren, but also the other tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland.
Okay.
He's another guy that's, I mean, right up there. He's probably, when you look at some of the top 100s that other media members put out there who are plugged in, talking to scouts, it's Tyler Warren, and then maybe 2 players later is Colston Loveland from Michigan. So then it becomes really interesting when you're looking at the tight ends. It's a good class, especially at the top. But I would definitely, out of those 2, between McMillan and Warren, I'd go Warren is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. I was reading somewhere that I guess they have like top 30 visits or whatever, right? That Poles has had. It was either Poles or it was Ben Johnson. Whoever they've had, their last like 3-4 selections have been guys that they've had top 30 visits. So from this list of people that I have is Tyler Warren, Genty, Will Campbell, and Shamar Stewart. Those are 4 of the names that are kind of, I guess, being tossed around. Yeah.
And of those 4, I mean, 3 of those guys I can realistically see the Bears taking. It's the last one, I think, that you mentioned there.
Shamar Stewart
out of Texas A&M. I got a chance to actually see him up close and personal when I went to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about him, but man, he impressed. Like, he was out there winning his one-on-ones, showing why he was one of the better prospects, not only there in Mobile, Alabama, but coming to this draft. And then I just started to watch more of him. And the guy, for 3 years consistently, the past 3 years, each year, he's only had 2 sacks in each year. 6 total sacks in his entire collegiate career. And production's not everything in college. But for me, when I watched more of him and then only saw that production, it kind of scares me. It's literally, I feel like, and this is not the consensus, but for me, it's like boom or bust. And I just think if you're the Bears, it's almost too risky to go, this guy's going to be the next Danielle Hunter, who, very similar to him, didn't have a lot of production in college, but ended up being one of the best pass rushers in the league and is with Houston right now, killing it. Or he can just be one of those prospects that you drafted because he has all these traits. He's 6'6", 270, can move lightning quick, and he has everything that you'd want. But he doesn't have the production. So it's like that's the gamble that these NFL teams need to go when they're looking at a prospect like that. Like, why didn't you have the production if you're this amazing athlete and you just didn't do it?
Yeah.
Like, and for me, out of those guys that you just mentioned, like, he's the riskiest one for me. Like, I love Will Campbell out of LSU, the left tackle. Ashton Genty is a generational back. And then you have, Tyler Warren, who I think could also help the Bears. But Shamar Stewart does scare me a little bit.
You know what that tells me about, like, a guy that has all the intangibles, all, like, the strength, the looks, whatever, but doesn't have the production? To me, I think that's indicative of someone who just doesn't love the game. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of times you grow up, you're playing the sport, and, like, you're so good, but I think that you never truly try to level up because you're just so naturally gifted that you don't work on the craft. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of times that's what happens. A lot of guys are just good enough to get in the league, but they don't try to elevate to that next level, And they can get by. It's like, what do they say? Like, a good-looking person can get by on their looks only for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. Like, he's saying he's a big guy, he's strong, whatever. But, maybe he just doesn't love the game. I think that happens to a lot of guys. I mean, even a lot of number one picks, like, in the NBA and the NFL, what have you, they're always talked about and hyped about. And I'm sure they're good. I mean, they're number one pick for a reason. Just doesn't work out a lot of the times. I think that a mix of failure, the pressure, just like all this from an early age, mixed all together, just kind of takes away like the love that you once had for that. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
there could be some of that. Yeah. Now I'm not saying that's exactly him. I'm just saying like that could always be indicative of something like that.
It's like there's a prospect also on there. His name's Mason Graham from the University of Michigan. When you look at his body type compared to like some of the other defensive linemen that are going to be drafted, he looks like the oddball out of the group. Where he's not muscle. He doesn't have the defined muscles. Doesn't have the height. Doesn't have the maybe the weight.
Right.
The intangibles, but he's the best one out of that group. And it could be for a number of different reasons. Like those guys are also too very polished in their footwork, their hand placement, a lot of different things. But also I could imagine too, like Mason Graham had to work probably just a little bit harder than maybe some of the guys that were physically gifted that look like Greek gods coming out of like the gym or whatever. But that's not him. But if the Bears had a chance to draft that guy at 10, in a heartbeat, like give the card to Roger Goodell, let him go to the podium, and let the Bears draft a guy like that.
Okay.
But it is interesting how different players look and how I think teams can also perceive that as well.
Yeah, that would just be a pick that, I mean, in a way wouldn't help Caleb, right? It's like kind of what you're saying. So
not directly,
right?
But
not directly.
I think indirectly, like could he cause fumbles to get the offense back?
Right.
Stopping the run, getting off the football.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's, I guess, every pick will, in some way or shape or form, help Caleb. But I guess, it wouldn't be on the offense, wouldn't directly help him. But if you're getting off the field on a 3rd and 1 because he's blowing up the backfield or blowing up the running back in the backfield, that's how he does it, right? Like simple things like that, and he's definitely capable of it.
That's that's crazy how like, we can so quickly criticize like a GM or like a scout or whatever, but there's just so much that I feel like obviously people are good at their jobs, but you've got to have a little bit of luck, with these guys, like for them to pan out, because all these scenarios we're going through. I mean, some of the guys I have on here is like, you've got the offensive tackles, defensive tackle, you've got the edge rushers, linebackers, cornerbacks, running back. Well, running back's just Genty, but you gotta rely on what the other teams are doing. We kind of talked about that at the top with the Bears, which is why it's so hard. I feel like to give like a real preview or like a real mock draft of what the Bears might do or what we're looking at, because it's gonna just happen in real time. The guys in that room don't know what they're doing. They're like, okay, if the order is this, we're going this way. If the order is this, but if Gentry's there though, he's coming to the Bears, right? Like Gentry's on the table, he's coming.
Yeah,
do you think that's a given?
I would say that's a given. If Genty is there at 10, and well, if the two of the tackles are also gone before that, and if it's like Genty or Warren, I think they would go Genty.
Okay.
But here's the thing about this class. Like, there's Genty, but the running back class is deep. It is a deep class where the Bears also have picks 39 and 41.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some really good running backs there. So what I was saying earlier, you usually don't see running backs drafted this high. Maybe Saquon Barkley was the last one. Bijan Robinson, who's with Atlanta. There are outliers. He would be an outlier. But the return on investment usually isn't what you typically want to see. Like, if you look at Saquon Barkley, he's not on the team that drafted him. Number, 2 or 3 overall was the New York Giants. He's with Philadelphia now. Also, when you look at Derrick Henry, he's not with the team that drafted him where he was drafted. He's with, Baltimore. It's like these running backs, they kind of they bounce to another team, then they get the value. So it's like if the Bears end up drafting him, usually you don't see teams pay that running back after that first contract unless they're, this, again, great, fantastic players that have stayed healthy and have produced. It's a position that you can kind of replace pretty quickly. And so that's the mind game that's the, I think, dilemma that Ryan Poles, the Bears GM, has to figure out. Do we take Genty at 10? And if he is there at 10 when he's there, I think they take him. But does he also see like, man, what if I can get the tackle here and then get the running back in number 39?
Second round.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. But I think if he is there at 10, that will be the pick that the Bears selected. And I should have been in Green Bay because he's one of the players that will actually be there. Yeah.
So who is going to be there? I mean, Will Campbell, he'll be there.
He might go forward to New England. There's a possibility. He'll be there at 10. Warren is also another possibility. There's a couple edge rushers. Michael Williams from Georgia might be there. But it gets really confusing there because what do the first 9 teams do? Is also going to determine what ultimately the Bears are going to do at 10.
Yeah, because there's a couple of good tackles. I mean, I was reading up on obviously Will Campbell. You got Armand Membu. Yeah, yep. Kelvin Banks Jr.
Yep.
You mentioned Mason Graham. And then a bunch of edge rushers too who are like projected to go in the first 10, 15 picks, which is, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me. How many, I guess, non-luxury picks there are compared to other drafts where it's like you're gonna get the best receivers like top 10, but there aren't too many of those in this class. There aren't too many quarterbacks. It's like we're talking about edge rushers and linemen, Which,
you know what? You need to build your team off of those players. You need those players. And edge rushers, teams will definitely value them. But it's like, you're not seeing as many maybe those high level skilled players like your corners and receivers. There are some very talented offensive and defensive linemen that would definitely help the Bears out because those two would be their biggest needs at this point.
Yeah. I guess it just like, as a fan, right? Like you want that like, oh wow, we got him, that moment.
Yeah.
And when you get somebody like, oh, they're an
like
edge
a Will
rusher,
Campbell, he's a great offensive tackle from LSU. Great. It's still an offensive lineman. I completely understand like how that would be perceived, and it would be a great pick for the Bears.
Yeah, it'd be the smart pick.
It would be a smart pick. And you know what? For a guy like Caleb Williams that was sacked 68 times last season, led the NFL, it's like you want to ensure that never happens again. And that would complete the offensive line overhaul that the Bears have started this offseason. They got the 3 new interior guys. You have a top 10 pick in your right tackle. It's your left tackle that you don't know about. Braxton Jones had season-ending ankle surgery against the second game against the Detroit Lions last season. He's still recovering. He won't be even ready until training camp.
Oh,
so it's like
it's late in the season.
It's late. It's late until you won't have that chemistry and things like that. So left tackle is still a need, I think, on this team.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioning 68 sacks, it's like, I'm just happy that he didn't, like, because you would think, like, by week 15, 16, he starts to really regress and, like, he's scared, getting rid of the football too quickly.
Yeah.
He didn't really do that, which is great because we'd be doomed. We'd be going into this season like, well, even down the stretch, at that point, he didn't start looking good either, And I'll kind of bring it back to this. When you mentioned you interviewed Caleb and you interviewed Rome Odunze after the draft last year, how was that? Because it's like you're getting the Bears number one, not only their number one, but you're getting their number 9 pick. And they're like best friends, and there's just so many directions that you could like take what you're prepping to ask them. How do you ultimately decide like this is what I want to say to them? Like what goes into that, because there's so much.
Yeah, it helps when I had no idea I was going to get them.
Really?
Had no idea I was going to get either interview. So when I went to the draft, I obviously, I knew Caleb Williams was number 1, and Rome was speculating. Like, if he's there, the Bears would probably take him at 9, but I didn't know until maybe 10 minutes before Caleb he got selected that I was going to get a chance to interview him. Mm-hmm. I was the last person of the Chicago media group to actually interview him. So everyone's got like their big camera. Like, I kind of went with like there's a TV group and then there's a writers group. So I went with like the quote unquote TV, even though I just have like my small camera and like my mics, and so like I'm a one-man crew. So I set everything up, and like I'm kind of thinking as the other TV people are going ahead of me, like what do I want to ask him that's a little bit different,
right?
And I'm just kind of like formulating those type of things because everyone's asking him, so what does it finally feel like to be a Chicago Bear? It's like, okay, yes, I kind of asked a version of that question, but I also wanted to ask him something about Aaron Rodgers, because that is actually Caleb's idol. He loves Aaron Rodgers. How he plays the game.
I hated that at first. I got over it.
Yeah, for sure. But I asked it in a way like, well, Aaron was hated by Bears fans. Hated. Do you want to feel the same type of way towards Packers fans? Something like that, and it came off with like a great answer. But that's what I'm trying to do as I'm watching some of the people that go ahead of me, and also just kind of brainstorm like what's gonna show this guy's emotion, this personality.
Yeah,
right.
Because that's what you want.
That's what I want, and that wasn't the first time I met Caleb. I met him at his pro day at USC, and also got a chance to kind of see him speak at the NFL Scouting Combine, but I don't think he'd recognize me from those 2 moments. But that's what I'm kind of thinking. And for Rome, like just I would watch, and of course up to that point I'd watched plenty of interviews that they've done. I wanted to kind of get their personality. Rome's a really chill guy, and like me and him have a good relationship just throughout the entire year in the locker room. So it was like really laid back, chill. I can't remember exactly what questions I asked him, but he's a good dude, and like it doesn't matter what question I would have asked him. He would have been open and honest about anything. But it helps when I didn't even get time to prep. It was kind of like whatever happens in this moment happens, and I think they both turned out pretty well for the access that I did get. So it was really cool that I got that access, but I probably wish I had a little bit more time.
Yeah, just to prep at least.
Just to prep a little bit, but it ended up working out.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, and sometimes that's like a blessing in disguise. You don't get time to get worked up, and get nervous or whatever. So I think in a way that might have been a good thing.
I think so, because I mean, I think everybody who's doing that for their job is like, okay, just make sure you're not fumbling over your questions. You let him be obviously the star of the interview. Just kind of not get through it, but you want to make sure you do it in an effortless way. For me, it was just like, let's get this, make sure I'm actually recording everything correctly, because kind of all happening at once. There's like a bunch of stuff happening in the draft too. Like it was just me. There was all these people also looking at me, interview them. So it's like, it's kind of a nerve-wracking moment.
Crowd.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, Rome or Caleb, it's just me and you. I'm going to tune everything out. And, I think it does help. I've had done so many interviews up to that point that you can kind of, it's just us two right here, cameras there, mics there, and let's just do this quick interview.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's cool, man. I mean, I remember like seeing you post that like after they both got drafted, like, the Bears are just buzzing because they just got the draft went how we wanted it to go.
Yeah.
You know, I could imagine if they got Genty, just like, you know, as a fan perspective, that's kind of how people would react.
I think
but
so.
everyone wanted exactly what we got, you know. So
Yep.
that's real cool, man. I meant to ask you about that, and also like you said, right? You kind of build a relationship with these guys just because you know you're there so much. You see them all the time. Walk us through that, like how that is, you know, like as the season progresses, like you feel like you can ask like a little bit of like different questions with the guys just because you build kind of like a relationship without necessarily having to try to. It's just like more so like, you know, what do you think the players are thinking? Like that's what I'm kind of trying to get at. It's like, do you ever see like, man, like they just don't like that guy, or like, you know, just stuff like that? Like, does that kind of go on like behind the scenes a little bit?
For sure.
You can just sense it.
It does. So how it works throughout the week, once you get into the regular season, after a game on Sunday, on Monday you'll just get guys at the podium and the head coach. And then the first day of locker room availability is that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's the time where we'll get about 45 minutes to go into the locker room. Whoever's in there is free game except for the quarterback. He'll have his podium access on Wednesday. You talk to him there. Like Caleb is pretty cool where he's in the locker room, and if you mention something, like I remember someone asked him if he had seen some football show, and then Caleb was like, no, I haven't seen that, but I have watched Blue Mountain State. And I'm like, I looked at him like, I loved watching that show.
Yeah.
And then like we're talking about one of these scenes where the linebacker has to, I think, clench down and grab an Oreo with his butt cheeks or something and run all the way down to the opposite end zone. He's like, dude, that was so funny. So he's really relatable, and he'll talk to you. But other than that, everybody else is open. So I think to answer your question, do they know when certain reporters are coming where it's like maybe they'll roll their eyes and be like, all right, here we go? Absolutely. And it you know, for those reporters, they're just doing their job. It might be a hard question, like, why'd you drop that pass? Like, I've had to go up to players, too, after games. It's like, I'm thinking of Doug Kramer, the Bears fullback / offensive lineman who, I mean, fumbled at the goal line in the Washington game. Like, there's a bunch of times where you just have to ask those questions, so they know.
Yeah,
and
they know it's coming. Yeah.
And they have to answer. Like, that's the thing. It's like if they refuse to, then, you know, there could be fines, things like that, so they know. But also, for me, what I've always tried to do is I love utilizing technology whenever I get into the locker room. So I'll bring my tablet in there, and I bring up plays that I've watched on, not like the TV copy like everybody sees, but there's this thing called All 22 where the zoomed out version of a play. And that's what the players are watching to, you know, learn from the film. And I'll ask about plays. And I figured out that the players love that. They loved that somebody was actually going through the X and O's and was trying to get their perspective on certain plays that when they go on Twitter, it's like people are just saying, honestly, whatever. I have no idea, unless I'm in that huddle, what's actually going on. So who better to ask than the people that are actually in the huddle? And so that was cool that, you know, the players, they would, after I'd get done with it, like, Nick, like, this is actually cool. This is not just a recorder going up to their face asking questions, which I'll still do, but I'm like, can you tell me what you were doing on this specific play and why you got so wide open? We'll go through it, and I have on my device where it can like film us watching the play. So we have a camera, and it shows the play, but our faces are also on screen.
Oh, like a reaction.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we're doing that. So I think that allowed me to establish some kind of credibility with some of the players. Who are like, well, this guy knows the X and O's, or he's wanting to learn about them. And it's just something that's a little bit different. And I think that's why, like, Rome and I were so close. Because, like, I would always go to him. I would go to, like, TJ Edwards, the linebacker on the Bears, who just got an extension. Always asking him plays like that. DJ Moore.
Isn't he from around here?
Yeah,
TJ?
he's from, blanking on the exact city. But, yeah, he's a local, he grew up a Bears fan. So it's, like, doing different types of things. That, not just I want to stand out, but it's just what I wanted to do. Like, I love football. I grew up playing it. I love it. I've always wanted to go behind, like, why certain things happen. And, again, you ask the players these things. Ask the coaches, too. Like, they're going to be the ones that are actually going to tell you.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. So, I mean, you mentioned Rome, but just, like, I guess not even personally, but who's somebody who, like, we don't really know, we don't see it as fans, but, like, I guess the players like really love in the locker room that like you've kind of like gotten to see, or like kind of like an underdog guy that like you don't see, but they're like a glue guy in the locker room?
No, that's a great question. I think the first person that comes to mind is the backup cornerback slash nickel. His name's Josh Blackwell. He actually had the kick return, or was it kick return and punt return against the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, yeah.
So he
All
was
right.
the one who scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
I think he would be considered one of those guys that the players respect. He's worked his butt off to even be on the team, and he plays an important position for Kyler Gordon when he maybe is injured, whatever may happen. He would go into the game for him, but also special teams value. He helped beat the Packers in Week 18 in Lambeau Field, but that's a guy that had to work his way onto special teams, and then once he kind of established a role there, also earned some time on the defense when Kyler Gordon was not playing their starting nickel corner. But just a guy that I think is a really good dude. Like, honestly, when we're not talking football, he's a huge Spider-Man guy, and so am I.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about the PlayStation 5 game and just Spider-Man in general. And then I would always just kind of ask him about different video games and stuff. But he's also a really good football player, and he's earned himself another contract with the Bears. So that was definitely the first guy that came to mind when I'm thinking like underdog. People that not everybody knows about, but he does have value on this football team.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, now that you're mentioning Spider-Man, though, I have to ask you, who's your favorite Spider? Just rank them 1 through 3, I guess.
So I love Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland. So I'm gonna definitely put him 1. Toby would be 2, and then Garfield will be my 3rd there.
I feel like people always are like flip-flopping Toby and Garfield, but like Tom is always either 1 or 2, but he's never 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I think he looks most like Spider-Man.
I think so. I think
from the high school perspective.
I get what you mean. He looks
young.
He looks
He
young.
looks young.
Yeah, and he plays it really well. So I think
it's
you've got a point
no
there.
shade to like Garfield. Like I don't know. Like I grew up on obviously Tobey Maguire. Like a lot of people around my age. Like you just grew up watching those movies, and then when the Marvel Cinematic Universe came out with Tom Holland being introduced, it's like in Civil War. It's like, oh man, this is dope. I love this, and you picked the perfect actor to play as Spider-Man. So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, no, I get you. Is there like another one coming out anytime soon that you think?
I think they've like announced like another Spider-Man movie, but to be completely honest, like I've kind of fallen off of the whole Marvel movies at this point.
I know there's one coming out, right? Like the Fantastic
the Fantastic Four
right?
is coming out with another version of the Fantastic Four. I think it's like 3 or 4 at this point, but whenever the old ones come on, like Avengers Infinity War or whatever those other ones, like I'm all for it. I'll sit down and watch because those movies were. It's like I remember. I don't know if like you went to theaters when it was the last one, Endgame. And then Captain America picks up.
I was late.
Okay.
I was late, but everybody was like crying, right? In tears, I heard.
They were when Iron Man died. Spoiler if you haven't seen it at this point, he died.
Yeah.
But
sorry, if you don't know by now, it's like
that's on you.
Yeah.
But Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, and I remember being in a theater and everyone was like losing their mind. It was like this very genuine reaction where I just don't feel like that happens now in theaters where everybody is like tuned in, you're quiet, and then something like that happens and he hits Thanos. It's like, dude,
everyone's losing their mind.
Craziest thing ever. Yeah. But vividly remember that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I was late on it. I didn't really start watching Marvel till like, I think it was like COVID, to be quite honest. So my girlfriend and I did the thing where like you just go like in chronological order.
Yeah.
So we were like getting the stories as they came. We didn't finish. We only got up to like.
Oh no, I spoiled it.
No, I got to that. I don't know what the last movie we watched was, but then we just started kind of like going like, okay, now we want to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, so we're just gonna go to that, and then we're gonna go to we just kind of started jumping around because we did get where we got really like tired that we didn't like really like the movies was Oh man, what are those two movies that are like
Not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Don't tell me you love it because I don't
You
want to
know what?
disrespect you like
I
that.
mean, no, they're fine. I mean, I think I love the soundtracks that they play in the
Yeah,
movies.
yeah,
They have
those are
great
cool. Hell
soundtracks.
yeah.
But yeah, like they're not my favorite.
Uh huh.
I'll watch them if they're
Yeah,
on, I
it
guess.
kind of just got too like I'm like okay, like where's Thor? Like where's Spider? You know, I'm like where are these
Yeah,
guys at? You know, it was
I
just like
getcha.
Thanos. So I think that's when we stopped doing the chronological thing and just started to jump around.
I get you.
But yeah, but on that note, I had a couple questions that I kind of wanted to ask you.
Let's do it.
And get, kind of a little bit like, I mean, we're getting personal now, but just kind of more into like the role that, you've been doing with this whole like media thing and the Bears, covering the Bears and stuff. So I have this question for you. I want to know what you would tell yourself if you could go back to when you started. Like, is there something that you learned that you wish you would have known that just like would have tremendously like helped you out when you were first starting up? I'm not necessarily like, oh man, like I wish I would have done this or that, but it's like more like you're aware of it now where it's like, man, I just wish I would have known that.
It's a great question. I think even when I get like opportunities to talk to um, sports journalism majors or students that want to like kind of get into that profession, I think it's just being realistic about it too. It is a tough job to get into, but if you work your butt off, man, like people are gonna notice. And I always tell people like that kind of effort will be recognized. It might not be in the role that you ultimately want it to be. Like covering the Bear, like I kind of lucked. There was luck, and obviously I put the work into it to be able to cover them for as long as I did, and then still do it in some capacity. But I think I would just tell myself too, like even if you have to pivot, that's all right. You could still find a way to be, like in like even if you're not covering the team professionally, like where you're getting paid to do it, like you could still do a really good job and be respected and do it to a level that may earn you that full-time job later, and you just got to stay the course.
Yeah.
Like for every like young sports journalist, I always tell them, if you have a camera, if you have a phone, you can make content.
You can
can
cover
make
sports.
content. So it's like if there's something that happens instantaneously, like get in front of your phone, record. Like even if it could be terrible the first 20, 30, 40 times, like you're going to get better at it, and it just takes reps. So I always tell like students, like do that. There's no reason why you can't start your own thing. If you have a passion for, I don't know, it could be a soccer team, it could be literally baking, whatever it may be. Like if you have a phone and if you invest in like a mic like these or whatever, then you got something going there. So but the advice, I think that's what I always tell them. But for myself, it's like it's all right to pivot every once in a while. Like you can still do what you love to do, and find other ways to kind of, I don't know, just feel that need of wanting to be around the football team or cover football or be around the Bears. Like there's going to be other opportunities. So
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good advice. And I mean, what I really love about sports media and just like I guess content in general is that you can't really fake it. Like you can't fake that you really like it. It's like, let's say like you sell printers, right? Like you're not gonna love selling printers, right? But you can fake it. You can be like, yeah, you make these great relationships and you get to love the part of, selling or like marketing, whatever it may be. But I just feel like content in general, like if you hated the Bears,
it's gonna show.
You know?
It's gonna show.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you can only fake it for a certain amount of time before people start to kind of pick apart like whatever it may be that you're trying to present or whatever content you're putting out there.
Right.
And it's not that you have to be super invested, love the team or anything, but how you're doing it. So I think that if you're not, again, passionate about like sports journalism or reporting or covering a team, it will show at some point because someone else is going to do it and they're going to be passionate about it, and then you're going to be able to see the difference. So
right.
If you are like putting half the effort into it, we'll see it. Especially people that are in the industry, they'll be able to see it. And then you might not get that second job, but for the people that are really interested in it, are putting, hours and hours and just time and effort into it, like that will pop on screen and that will resonate with people that are ultimately consuming the content.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And even you mentioning like, you gotta get those reps in. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. Anything's gonna be bad at first.
Yep.
You know what's funny when you said that? What I thought of immediately was when I first started golfing, which I also saw that you started golfing.
Dude, I'm envious of you. I mean, like, I need to like pick this up. I'm terrible. Like swinging a golf club looks like painful for me, but
no,
I'm that you get out there.
I'm not that great either. I'm just starting, but dude, just like it feels good. Like the progress like the progress you make is so crazy. My first time out there, I couldn't hit the ball really. Like,
I get you.
Were you hitting the ground? Were you like topping the ball?
Yep.
And then you just then you hit it and it goes like 3 feet and you're like, this is, why am I here?
But then, like, you hit the one.
You
hit the one,
that's
and
what
that's
gets you
all
back.
you're chasing for.
Yeah.
That's all you're yes, I completely relate with that.
Yeah. What's going on? Why aren't you getting out there, dude?
That's a great question. I have no, I don't know. That's a great question. I need to get out there. My friends and I are going to try to go to a driving range first, and then kind of actually do, an actual, like, I don't know, 18 hole, whatever it may be. Yeah. But we need, that's what I just need, to just hit a golf ball. Mm-hmm. I have some video of me, like, at a driving range that if it ever surfaced on the internet, I would just be done. But it's so I can correct myself. Yeah. It's like, this guy's the most unathletic dude ever. Like, I swear. I just have never... Like, even, I never really played baseball growing up. I don't know, that's not translatable, but just having something in my hand where I'm swinging, I just have never had that growing up. And so now you're putting this golf ball, or golf club, and trying to hit this little golf ball. It's just not natural to me. Mm-hmm. But I have a custom set of golf clubs. I want to get out there, and I hate being bad at something. Like, I can't be the worst one out of my friend group. As long as I'm just not the worst, I'm fine.
That's how I felt. I went out there. I was terrible, obviously, my first time. And then I just went by myself. I started doing 9 holes just by myself. I took my girlfriend with me. She was just driving the cart. Yep. I can't believe I let her see me look that bad. Like, I'm glad I didn't ick her out or anything like that, But yeah, I mean, you're going to be bad. You got to take those reps. It kind of goes back to that. But you mentioned the video that you have of yourself. My friend also took a video of me, like, when we were first starting, and I'm so grateful now because I like seeing it. I'm like, dude, why was I standing like that? Like, like you start to kind of dissect it, and I think that's what helps. Everyone says kind of record yourself, like, even if you set the camera up just real quick, just so you could watch it back to see how you were standing, or like if there's something weird with your elbow or something. I recommend doing that because then you can kind of fix it as you go. I'll compare it to how the pros do it, and I'm like, why isn't my arm going all the way back like that?
Yeah.
And then you realize it's because your torso has to, like, I don't know. Just like, I don't know. Just talking about this and talking about football, like, I just realized, like, I love talking ball, man. Like, I get so excited when people come on here and we talk about sports, because I'm like, dude, we can do this for like 20 hours.
That's the beauty of it too. It's like, you can not see friends for a long time, and then you get together, and then you end up, like, again, what we're doing, just talking sports, have a beer or whatever, and then just kind of hang out. Like, it's like such a thing that you can pick up anywhere with anybody, and kind of relate and just be on that level, like, because it is such a common thing, right? Yeah. And we all have grown up with some version of it, whether it is football or whatever it may be, but that's what the beauty of it is. Like, that's why you can go to a bar and just kind of hang out and have a good time with it.
Yeah, just an immediate connection, Once you realize somebody's into that, you're kind of like, well, we're going to bond over this, and then you just know. But just on that note, my final question to you was going to be what you would tell someone going into the industry, but you kind of answered that, saying, it kind of goes hand in hand with your answer about what you would tell yourself. Yeah. But I guess, just, it's such a saturated industry that I feel like you mentioned it's hard to break in, but I think the best advice you gave right there was just get those reps in. Like, that's the most important thing, whether it's your phone, whether it's like a vintage camera or something. Just like, do it,
you got to. And I think that's where, for whatever reason, people are just kind of nervous to do that and put themselves out in front of, other people to view. And it is nerve-wracking to do that first.
I still get nervous sometimes when I have to post it. I'm like, Does that sound all right? Like, you know?
No, absolutely. And I mean, that's what you just got to get over. And once you continue to do that with
Yeah.
reps, it becomes more natural. Just becomes easier to do. And like I went the unconventional route to get where I'm at. Like usually you're not going to see someone that maybe started with just blogging and podcasting. I never worked for a newspaper, a professional newspaper. Did at the University of Iowa writing, but didn't do that. Couldn't get internships for whatever reason, even though I was doing like a blog and podcast and was getting credentialed, cover the Bears through that. But there are ways, especially now with sports journalism, like you can do a lot on your own, be credible, be recognized, be respected, and work your way up, like kind of like what I did in just a different way. It doesn't mean you're any less of anybody. I used to think that at first when I first got credentials in the room with all these people that had been covering the Bears for 10, 15 plus years, have been working for professional news outlets, and then here's quote unquote blogger boy, podcast kid, and like, okay, but I can ask the same exact questions you can.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to watch the game just as many times as you are. And I'm going to come up with questions each and every time and, be here the next day. So that's what I would tell every student that, wants to get into this. You can do it too. And you don't have to do it the very conventional route, especially in this day and age. Like I said, all you need is just need a cell phone and you'll be good to go.
Yeah. And you got to love it. You got to love it. That's the main thing. You got to love it. Honestly, like, I don't think that's something you can fake, like, at all. Like, you just, when I meet somebody and we're, like, talking ball, like, I can always tell, like, this is a ball knower and this is not a ball, which, I mean, it's not to shame anybody. It's just, you pick it up. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to ask them about, whatever happened like that. Only somebody who's, like, really into this would, would know. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing. And I think that's not only applies to sports, but just, I guess, whatever you're doing in life is, if you're not into it, like, you're either one, like, you do it so much that, maybe you'll get into it. But I just think it's like, go a different route. You're forcing it at some point. Go a different route.
And again, like we were talking about, it'll show.
Yeah.
It'll show if you're not really putting that effort or that passion.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Nick, I'm going to wrap it up. Dude, honestly, it's been a pleasure for you to come on, man. I'm always excited when you're going to come on. Don't wait or let me not wait another year and a half to invite you back on. Maybe we can have you back, like, before the season, during the season, just, catch up. And, dude, I meant to tell you this at the top. Congrats, man, on your engagement.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so that's what I've been, it's been awesome. Like, my fiance and I were just in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to get married. We were doing some tastings down there, and then we did our engagement photos in South Carolina. So we're doing all the little steps to, get this wedding planned for next May, but we're really excited about it. And again, 30 years old, it kind of, getting up there. Like everyone, all my friends are getting married. It's like we're the last ones in the group. So we're just kind of trying to catch up with everybody, but we're really excited about doing that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I saw that, and I saw you guys went out there for the shoot or whatever, and it looks like you got a venue and all that set, right? So that's exciting, dude. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of work for the both of you, but it'll be worth it, just like anything. Nothing good comes easy, so.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, man, again, thank you, and I can't wait to have you on the next time, and then the next time, and then the next time after that.
Next time we'll do beers, but I cannot wait to get on here next time.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do a weekend. We'll do, like, midday or the morning or something. Yeah. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming on, and appreciate you guys for watching. You guys know where to find Nick. I'll obviously be, like, posting where he's at, and you probably already know where he's at. So, follow him for all your Bears coverage on the draft and furthermore on the season. So, thank you guys. See you guys next time. I don't know why I'm looking at that camera when it's not. It doesn't get me, so I don't know why I'm looking at that one. But yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you.